Good morning, friends, and welcome to the Spirit Society of Virginia. It's so good to be with all of you here today. We're going to start by reading a short, very powerful message from the book Our Daily Bread, psychographed by the Spirit Emmanuel through the hands of the medium Chico Xavier. Message number 66, Goodwill. See to it that you live prudently. Paul chapter 5, verse 15. Goodwill finds work to be done. Work leads to renewal. Renewal finds the good. The good expresses the spirit of service. The spirit of service brings understanding. Understanding brings humility. Humility wins love. Love leads to self-denial. Self-denial reaches the light. The light promotes self-betterment. Self-betterment sanctifies the individual. The sanctified individual converts the world to God. Proceeding prudently through simple goodwill, the individual reaches the divine kingdom of the light.
Thank you, baby. Okay, friends. So let us begin with a prayer, remembering that prayer is not a ritual. Is it? No. It is a moment to communicate with God. But doesn't God know everything? Why do we need to talk with Him, right? He knows everything. But it's not for Him that we do it. It's for us. If we communicate with Him, we are in better shape because we're higher in our vibrations. When we think too much of things on earth, we become lost. So let us raise our thoughts and feel at each breath this nourishing air that comes through ourselves. Thank you, God, for giving us life. Thank you for loving us without conditions. And thank you also for the opportunity you grant us to be here in this sacred loving space. We feel the presence of the spirit doctors, nurses, and therapists, and we rejoice for their diligence in caring for each one of us. We pray for those who have their names in the book of prayer. We pray for those who are thinking of committing crimes. May they feel your presence in the singing of a bird, in the caress of a breeze, even in the rays of the hot sun, awakening us to fulfill your loving will. Thank you for your guidance and protection and the permission to be here. And so be it. Okay, friends, I know it's summer, super hot. Be careful the next days. There is a heat wave watch. We have to reinforce that. Drink a lot of water. Be careful. Use sunscreen. Even if you just walk in the streets, it's important. But let me ask you this. What place on earth do you go in and people do everything for free? And we don't need to do anything to help. Do you know a place like this? Yes, Virginia. Okay, I didn't expect that. Okay, I'm reflecting on what you're saying, so kitchen. But yes, a spirit center is free. Apparently. Because there is, for us to be here and receive what we need, for us to be here and also be helping. There is a code to be watched. Okay? Last week, Carol explained to us a beautiful message by Dr. Bezerra de Menezes that makes us feel like, what is this? It's a school, it's a temple, it's a workspace for those who want to help others. It is a hospital for many of us. Many people come here because they need treatment, spiritual, physical. We don't give them physical treatment, but we give them the emotional, spiritual support, which is a big part of it. But we need to align ourselves. So we're using the summertime to remind ourselves of the many messages that wonderful mediums, today's going to be through medium Chico Xavier. Daisy is going to lead us to a beautiful presentation. And we're going to ask our children to watch it because it's a video prepared by Daisy based on a message. And it's a beautiful thing for our lives that can help us everywhere we go. It talks about the Spiritist Center, but this message is helpful for us at school, at work, in our families, everywhere. So let's watch this together. Do you mind, Daisy? Before we go to our rooms, yes, I'll let Daisy play here because she knows where it is. Thank you, Daisy.
Kardec Radio presents Tiny Creatures, a message by Humberto de Campos through Chico Xavier from the book Letters and Chronicles, Chapter 29. You find yourself exhausted with the internal conflicts of the Spiritist institution, that you have become a devoted server. And now, you are desperate looking for a solution to the problem that is tormenting the old house of faith. Conflicts between companions and constant hostilities have undermined the altar of the temple where you have observed the manifestation of divine providence through messengers of light. And today, instead of fraternity and confidence, of enthusiasm and joy, it only remains discord and doubt, discouragement and sadness in the sanctuary. You asked us for clarification. So, considering this matter, I brought back the memories of an old and valuable tree that I found in my early childhood. The tree was green and strong. It looked like a cathedral in the wonderful work of nature, full of nests. The tree was the favorite palace of songbirds, whom from the tree's fronds warbled happily. Exhausted drovers used the tree's shadow, which offered protection, comfort, peace, rest, and shelter. From time to time, woodcutters would cut parts of the tree. Also, ungrateful pilgrims would take the tree's precious branches, which had different utilities. Annually, terrible storms fell on the tree, causing damage to it. However, it seemed like the tree was able to fix itself, because the tree used to come back more beautiful than ever. The tree was reached by lightning on different occasions, but the strong tree always reappeared. Periodically, furious winds tilted its crown, cutting its vigorous branches. The drought used to make the tree really thirsty, and the flood used to surround the tree with heavy debris. The tree trunk, however, which was always adorned with thousands and thousands of sap leaves, seemed to be unflinching and invincible. One day, however, tiny creatures started to take over the tree. Nobody paid attention to it. Intangible, almost colorless, microscopic. How could they cause any harm to the giant on the ground? Travelers and servers of the field did not notice the presence of the tiny creatures. But the tiny creatures multiplied indefinitely. They reached its roots and took over the heart of the vigorous tree, devouring it little by little. And the plant that overcame the threats of the sky and the temptations of the earth, in a short period of time, sad and wilted, started to turn into dry wood for the fire. So, my friend, the same happens to a lot of respectable associations that do not take precautions against the dangers that do not seem to be important. They are admirable in charity and in the resistance to external scams. They support with heroism and serenity the strange trials and challenges for which they are tested. They are brave before slander and wrong, persecution and public scorn. All of this is done with unalterable patience and indefinable moral strength. However, when visited by the invisible worm of envy or jealousy, misunderstanding or suspicion, they quickly feel disrupted and dismantled, unable to recognize that personal sensitivities are destructive parasites in the best organizations of the spirit. When the institution is invaded by gossip, the devil of intrigue is in charge of a plot to blur the living water of understanding and harmony, wiping out all the divine seeds of decent work and spiritual improvement. You may ask hopelessly, what to do? In my new condition, I just know one solution: our individual and collective adaptation to the actual practice of the gospel of Christ. To protect us against the corrosive tiny creatures of degrading selfishness, let us use the antiseptic called good news. In Luke chapter 9, verse 23, Jesus says, "If anyone wants to become my follower, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me." When we walk this journey forgetting our sensibilities, we will be out of reach of the sinister microbes of the darkness. We will be immunized and we will find peace in our own hearts.
Okay, so this message helps us in every organization, including spiritual centers, our schools. Why are our schools so difficult, right? Because there is a lot of what we say, gossip, envy, jealousy. We need to put an end to this. And when we talk about, for example, our workplaces, the same. So the message today, Daisy is going to play again. She has a whole program. This was just to give also the teens, the children, an opportunity to know about this message and to remember wherever we go, even in our family group, many of our families are destroyed by gossip, by envy, by jealousy. So we need to conquer those selfishness, the tiny creatures that destroy the most beautiful relationships. Okay? This message came through Chico Xavier, and the breakdown is beautiful for us. Regarding the Spiritist Center, any Spiritist Center, we need the help of everybody. Understanding that we come here to be treated, to learn, and to serve. That's it. We make it playful for the children and the teams inside. And that's it. But in the spiritual realm, there is a hospital, and these good spirits are always operating to help everyone. We need to think of the many people who need help and join forces with the good spirits in the Spirit Center to help as well, okay? So Miss Karen and I will take you guys inside. The babies can also go inside with the parents. Friends. Before we started in our journey today with Humberto de Campos, we want to give everyone a reminder. We're kind of halfway through the summer, maybe we can say, but we have a summer book challenge going on. If you have not seen it, you're seeing for the first time, there's still time. If you have questions, you can come talk to us. But there's a part for adults and a part for children and teens. For the adults, we're reading the book Paul and Stephen, which is an incredible book. It's a book that helps us in so many ways, in so many aspects of our lives. The example of Paul, Stephen, Abigail, and so many other courageous spirits that came right after or together with Jesus and right afterwards. And thanks to them, we're here today. And for the children and teens, we are inside passing episodes of the Superbook and the Superbook Show, which is a great resource for parents, educators, even for the small children. The Superbook has cartoons that talk about Jesus' times, talk about the prophets. So join us in. The deadline is September 8th for those who complete. That would be wonderful challenges. So if you want to receive, we included this in our group, in the WhatsApp, in the email, but if you haven't received it, see us later and we can share with you. Okay, so today we're gonna be studying this deep message that we just heard. We're gonna hear one more time because we need to hear this over and over again. But the question for us, as we are talking about these topics, we're gonna go to the core. Are we loving enough? Or are we loving? Are we fulfilling this duty to love? Because love is a law of God, and God invites us to love. So we don't need to answer this externally to anyone, but let us reflect inside. Are we loving?
When we gossip, are we loving people? When we judge their actions, when we are envious, when we are jealous, when we want to have what others have, or we think we can do things better. We go through our days and we, as we're going to talk today, might not have physical dwelling as we did in previous incarnations, but we're dwelling with people mentally. We're in these mental battles. So today is a healing opportunity for us to go within, to ask ourselves, are we loving? Are we loving enough? Not only the family members, but are we loving our universal family as Jesus taught us to understand? So, to guide us, we will be studying deep this message, Tiny Creatures, by Humberto de Campos. Who was Humberto de Campos? Humberto de Campos was a journalist. He was born in Brazil in 1884 in the north of Brazil, in a place called Maranhão. He moved to the city of Rio de Janeiro. He became a very well-known journalist, writer. He built his career. He didn't become a spiritist while he was here incarnated, but it's incredible to hear his story because he discarnated in 1934, and 3 months later, he was already bringing message through Chico Xavier. That's incredible for us because we know that it doesn't happen like that in a click. First, there is the whole process of discarnating, getting acquainted in the spiritual realm, and then connecting with the medium, having that fluidic affinity to be able to come and bring books like this that they're not in English yet, although we have been bringing many messages from this book. If you read Portuguese, download it on your phone. Here, we use our phones so much for things that are so trivial. Scrolling through social media, watching funny reels, right? But we can use our phones. Go to Kindle, Apple Books, so many others that I don't even know. But from the click of a button, we can have wonderful books. We're there waiting in the doctor's office. We're in the bus, metro, whatever is their mode of transportation. Let us read. Let us train ourselves. Why? Because do we want to change? The question is, do we truly want to change? If we want to change, we need to instruct ourselves. We're not going to change if we keep doing the same old as we have done for many lives. We need to learn the new. So let us train ourselves to read more, to instruct ourselves. For those that don't have access to this particular book, there are so many books in English. And thanks to Humberto de Campos, we get to know about many stories about Jesus. He is the one that brought to us the book Good News, Boa Nova in Portuguese. So because of him, we get to know the stories of Jesus as a loving master, has their guided model for us. And the book Good News is already available. You can purchase on Amazon. We have programs at Kardec Radio. And now, for those that don't know yet, we have Kardec Flix. We have Netflix, right? But now we have Kardec Flix. Go there. Go to the Kardec Flix website. You're interested to know about the afterlife? Click Afterlife. There are many playlists you can choose, many videos to watch. You want to know about mediumship? So it's literally spiritism in a click because it's so easy. So there we have the study of the book Good News by Humberto de Campos, which changed our lives completely. So today, as Vanessa mentioned to us, we're studying this message. Tiny creatures starts with something so small. We don't give a lot of importance to it, but it infiltrates organizations, it infiltrates our relationships, it infiltrates workplaces, business, and when we least realize, things, organizations, relationships, families fall apart. So that's why we need to pay attention in this tiniest thing. So we will play the message again so that we can recap it and go even deeper. Okay? Thank you, Tony.
Kardec Radio presents Tiny Creatures, a message by Humberto de Campos through Chico Xavier from the book Letters and Chronicles, Chapter 29.
You find yourself exhausted with the internal conflicts of the Spiritist institution, that you have become a devoted server. And now, you are desperate looking for a solution to the problem that is tormenting the old house of faith. Conflicts between companions and constant hostilities have undermined the altar of the temple, where you have observed the manifestation of divine providence through messengers of light. And today, instead of fraternity and confidence, of enthusiasm and joy, it only remains discord and doubt, discouragement and sadness in the sanctuary. You asked us for clarification. So, considering this matter, I brought back the memories of an old and valuable tree that I found in my early childhood. The tree was green and strong. It looked like a cathedral in the wonderful work of nature, full of nests. The tree was the favorite palace of songbirds, whom from the tree's fronds warbled happily. Exhausted drovers used the tree's shadow, which offered protection, comfort, peace, rest, and shelter. From time to time, woodcutters would cut parts of the tree. Also, ungrateful pilgrims would take the tree's precious branches, which had different utilities. Annually, terrible storms fell on the tree, causing damage to it. However, it seemed like the tree was able to fix itself, because the tree used to come back more beautiful than ever. The tree was reached by lightning on different occasions, but the strong tree always reappeared. Periodically, furious winds tilted its crown, cutting its vigorous branches. The drought used to make the tree really thirsty, and the flood used to surround the tree with heavy debris. The tree trunk, however, which was always adorned with thousands and thousands of sap leaves, seemed to be unflinching and invincible. One day, however, tiny creatures started to take over the tree. Nobody paid attention to it. Intangible, almost colorless, microscopic, how could they cause any harm to the giant on the ground? Travelers and servers of the field did not notice the presence of the tiny creatures, but the tiny creatures multiplied indefinitely. They reached its roots and took over the heart of the vigorous tree, devouring it little by little. And the plant that overcame the threats of the sky and the temptations of the earth, in a short period of time, sad and wilted, started to turn into dry wood for the fire. So, my friend, the same happens to a lot of respectable associations that do not take precautions against the dangers that do not seem to be important. They are admirable in charity and in the resistance to external scams. They support with heroism and serenity the strange trials and challenges for which they are tested. They are brave before slander and wrong, persecution and public scorn. All of this is done with unalterable patience and indefinable moral strength. However, when visited by the invisible worm of envy or jealousy, misunderstanding or suspicion, they quickly feel disrupted and dismantled, unable to recognize that personal sensitivities are destructive parasites in the best organizations of the spirit. When the institution is invaded by gossip, the devil of intrigue is in charge of a plot to blur the living water of understanding and harmony, wiping out all the divine seeds of decent work and spiritual improvement. You may ask hopelessly, what to do? In my new condition, I just know one solution: our individual and collective adaptation to the actual practice of the gospel of Christ. To protect us against the corrosive tiny creatures of degrading selfishness, let us use the antiseptic called good news. In Luke chapter 9, verse 23, Jesus says, "If anyone wants to become my follower, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me." When we walk this journey forgetting our sensibilities, we will be out of reach of the sinister microbes of the darkness. We will be immunized and we will find peace in our own hearts.
So Humberto de Campos goes to the core of it. He's talking to us about these tiny creatures, these personal sensitivities that are destructive parasite of the best organizations of the spirit. So what is this personal sensitivities? We're gonna bring definitions today to go to the core, because we talk about personal sensitivities, enviness, jealousy. We use those terms in our daily life, but do we truly know what they mean? So let us go there. Personal sensitivities, in Portuguese, melindre. What is it? It's the quality of being easily upset by the things people say or do. Are we easily upset by things people say and do? Or what people don't do? Because sometimes we get to work and we expect people to say good morning, or we say good morning, and people are there working. And it's not personal to us, but because of our personal sensitivities, that ruins our day. We already crossed that person out. How can they be so rude? They don't even say good morning. Well, let us put ourselves in their shoes. Maybe they're so into their work. Maybe they have their minds somewhere else. Maybe they're having very difficult problems in their homes. But we, because of our melindres, our personal sensitivities, we stay in this conflicts. Maybe not verbal, but our mental darts. It's when we call our family members and they talk about, oh, because your sister, your brother, and that person, they're like, but how about me? And then we hang up the phone and we're upset because we're not being seen. So this seems so small, but these personal sensitivities destruct relationships, destruct beautiful organizations like a beautiful Spiritist Center. When we come in, as Vanessa said, and there is order. Everything is free. We don't need to do anything. We just need to sit down. But then people come and they think they can come in and do whatever they want. They can feel like they are at home, not respecting the order. And when the directors put order in the Spiritist centers, so many people, and we're talking about this because it's across the board with so many Spiritist centers. People walk out because of the personal sensitivities. Oh, but I was just trying to help. That's what we usually say, right? But do we know there's an order? It doesn't come from none of us. It comes directly from the governor. Jesus, he assigned mentors and they assign the orders. But then we go out, same in our workplaces, and then we do what? We stay in this chit chat, talking to people, making comments. Are we helping? We're not helping. Not only we're not helping, but we're being these tiny creatures. We're infiltrating organizations, relationships, places, and we're eating the hungry thing, which can destroy a whole beautiful tree. So the question for all of us, we're going to have therapeutic questions throughout. Let us rate from 0, not being sensitive at all, to 10, to be super sensitive. People look at you already, oh, they don't like me. But why? They didn't say anything. Oh, but it's just the way they looked at me. We don't need to. Let us reflect. Whatever number comes to your mind, put there. 9, 8, 5, 3, whatever it is. Why are we doing this exercise? We've been doing this exercise on Fridays, today, because we need to know ourselves. We're not going to change if we don't know ourselves. It is hard to pick up the spotlight and turn to us. It's very easy to point fingers to others because they are this, they are that, they did this, they said that. But when we turn it to ourselves, it's hard because we see this darkness inside of us. But that's why we're here. That's why we reincarnated, to do that. If not, we're going to continue reincarnating, and things will never change because we're just repeating the same patterns that we did in the past. So the first step is for us to study ourselves and to know. We don't need to be shy. Our mentors already know. So this is for our own study. So then, Humberto de Campos says, envy comes. What is envy? Envy is to wish that we had or were something that another person has or is. So let us give concrete examples. What is? Do we feel the need that we need to travel, buy a car, buy a house, a particular clothing, because someone else have it? So a friend comes with a brand new car, and in the outside we're like, oh, it's so beautiful. But then deep inside we're like, maybe I should be changing my car too. Interesting. And then we go home and we spend hours looking for cars, searching the internet. And that's how people make decisions in lives, with houses. Oh, so-and-so traveled to that place. Oh, but, and then they ask you, oh, you're traveling this summer, right? The most asked question. Where are you traveling this summer? And then you're like, oh my gosh, maybe I do. I don't have any travel, but maybe I do. So then we're not making decisions for ourselves, but we're making decisions because we want what other people have. Maybe they need a new car. Maybe they need a big house. But do we need it? Does God want us to have that house or that car? So do we see how we make decisions not thinking of ourselves, but because of this envy that we need to fit in if we have X, Y, and Z? Do we feel that we don't fit in, or if we're inferior if we don't have what others have? The mentors of the Spirit Society of Virginia have been asking us to think about this concept of equality, because most of the time we either put ourselves above or below. So if we feel inferior because others have X, Y, and Z, maybe it's a position at work. They have a higher position, but then we're there. I have the same degree, maybe even I have a higher degree than that person. I have more experience. And we think we're better. So then we're envying the position that that person has. And how many people, they do the math. This is true accounts. I've seen it. They do the counts of when people will retire so that they know when they're going to be able to be promoted. Oh yeah, in 3 years, 5 years, that person will be retired. But what if God doesn't want you to have that position? You have a particular role. Instead of focusing on what we have now, we stay in this pattern, ambitioning things that we should not have. Same thing in a spirit center. We come in, we start studying, and then we think, oh, but I want to be giving the classes. I want to be doing the talks. And then instead of sitting down and helping with our vibrations, we are looking at people and ambitioning their roles. Is that why we come to the Spirit Center? To say that we do X, Y, and Z, or we come in to help? Because there are many things for us to help, but no one wants the things that no one sees. There are so many things that happen behind the scenes. We got in, everything is clean, organized, beautiful, smells so great. But someone had to come in, someone had to clean, someone is paying the bills. But then we come in and we still, instead of thanking God for this blessed center on earth, we, because of our envy, we are ambitioning things and creating these duels inside our minds with people. So, from a scale from 0 to 10, in our lives, How envious are we? Not envious at all, or super envious? To the point that we are making decisions in our lives not based on what God wants us for us, but from the pride and selfishness inside of us. A lot is for us to reflect today. Let us go to the next, jealousy. Envy and jealousy, they walk hand in hand. But there's a twist to jealousy, because jealousy is not only that we want what others have, but we feel that unhappiness or that dissatisfaction, that anger, that someone has something that we want. So, do we rejoice with other people's happiness, or do we feel something is missing in our lives? A family member comes, and they're so happy. Yes, maybe they accomplish, something that they've been working on. Yeah, maybe they did buy that house that they really want. But are we truly happy for them? Or deep inside, we feel, they have it and I don't. So then we hang up the phone, and instead of being happy, we are there. And then what we do, we turn to the other relative and say, did you see? How come? They bought that house. They didn't talk to me. I didn't know about it. So, are we being coherent because we're putting a face and then we deep down we feel something else? Someone is getting married. Wonderful. Let us rejoice for the person. But then maybe our relationships are not doing well, and we look at the happiness of others and we are jealous. We don't say anything, but deep down we wish we have what other people's have. And this is so common nowadays with social media. We need to be careful what we post, because we think, oh yeah, people go there in the comments, oh, congratulations, so many things, right? You did this, you did that. But do we truly think we're living in a planet Jupiter? We're still on planet Earth. Jealousy is a real thing. And then our relationships, our workplace relationship starts falling apart and we don't understand why. But remember, we attract what we emit. If we're emitting feelings of jealousy, we will attract that to our lives. And then our relationships will fall apart. Do we feel left out or upset when someone is selected for a task at work or the Spirit Center and we are not? This is so common because the boss chose this coworker to go in that work trip and not us, or that colleague to participate in the project and not us. And we are upset. Or in the Spirit Center, why is that person giving the passes and not me? I did the courses, I studied. Why is that person there and not me? Why is that person saying the final prayer and not me? Why that person is cooking something for the lunch, but I am not? So then we feel left out. And instead of joining forces and helping out, we put ourselves in the cocoon. We think we're invisible. We just stay there. We think, oh, no one is paying attention to me. And then we enter in the passive aggressiveness. So instead of being happy for others, we pretend that we don't see. Or in our relationships, we do this passive aggressiveness of not talking to people. Oh yeah, they think they can say that to me. They will see. And then we don't go then in revenge, but we revenge them for our passive aggressiveness. So on our scale from 0 to 10, how jealous are we? Not jealous at all? Or super, super duper jealous? Think, which number? 0 to 10. Okay. We know it's an exercise, okay, friends? We're learning together, okay? I'm asking myself those questions, the first, that when we come here to study together with the first ones, to ask ourselves these questions in our life. So we're in this journey together, but we need to go deeper so that we understand what these tiny creatures are. Misunderstanding. If you look at the definition in the dictionary, they say, is when there is this feeling of being misunderstood. But what Humberto de Campos is talking about here, this misunderstanding, is that poor me feeling, the self-pity. Oh, my life, no one understands me. I did this, I had the best intentions, but poor me. So let us bring concrete examples for us. Do we feel misunderstood by people? And we think this is so small, right? We go home and we say, I feel people don't understand me. They don't hear me, they don't see me. The world is against me. That's what people think. That's what we think, right? That the world is against us because no one understands us, no one hears us. And then what do? We label others as harsh, as cruel, life is unfair. And we say, oh, why is this happening to me? I'm such a good person. I don't kill, I don't steal, I do my work. So we give ourselves excuse. Let us imagine Jesus, because Jesus is the medicine, as Humberto de Campos says. Do we think Jesus looked at the disciples? It's beautiful for those who watch The Chosen. It's such great because there you see exactly, how he was. Jesus was there teaching. He finished it, and then the disciples would go and they would keep asking him questions. But you gonna cure that woman? Why that woman? Do you know what she has done? Are you sure, Jesus? Do you think Jesus felt misunderstood? Did he at the end of the day said, I keep saying, I keep preaching, I keep telling stories, I don't know what else to do. People don't understand me. I'm going to give up. Imagine if Jesus did that. We wouldn't be here. So, is that personal sensitivities inside of us? Is that child? Psychology explains we have a child, we have an adult, and then we have the parent inside of us. The child mode is this for me feeling, this victimization. We want to be seen. We want to be cared for. We go into places and we want people to stop everything that they're doing to talk to us. And how many people come into Spirit Center? Not that we're not going to help, we're here to help. But there are many other people to see. But they want to be given the special treatment. No one else but they. So then if they're not seen and heard, they feel hurt. And not because there's so many things happening. And sometimes the person, we go home feeling like this. Feeling that we're not heard. We're not seen. This happens in our families. We are there. We do everything in the house. People, right? People get home sometimes, the dinner's cooked, everything is clean. And then we say, oh, but people are not seeing what I am. Do you know how many hours I stay preparing everything? Well, we're not saying the other person is right, but we're saying is in this personal sensitivities, is this feeling of the child of not being seen and cared for that destroys relationships. So, again, from a scale from 0 to 10, do we feel that we are not misunderstood at all, or that we are super misunderstood? Let us reflect. And then Humberto de Campos talks about suspicion. Suspicion is so interesting, right? When I read it and we reflect on it, okay, what is this suspicion? So, if we go to the dictionary, the act or the instance of suspecting something wrong without proof or slightly evidence is the mistrust. So, is the feeling inside ourselves. Do we have a hard time trusting people? In everything. In relationships, there are people that have a hard time maintaining relationships because they don't trust people. Do we feel that someone is always going to take advantage of us or the situation? It's when, let's say, something happens at home and we call an expert and then they come. And then we're always suspicious. You're like, I don't know if I trust them. I think they're trying to do something mean. They're trying to take advantage of us. So we're always having this hard time trusting people. When did that comes from? Inside of us, we have plugs. So if we have a hard time trusting people, that means that deep inside is because we ourselves are not trustworthy. It's hard. I know it's hard. But in the course of the spiritual being that we've been studying, the truth is that plug inside of us. So if we want to go deeper, we need to see where in my life I'm not being trustworthy, so that I can not only attract people that are trustworthy, but work on these trusting issues with others. Are we always second guessing if people are telling the truth? We see this happen every day. And we ourselves, we see people on the streets asking for money. And we look at them, and then we look at their clothes, and then we say, that person does, they don't need it. Look at them. They're dressed so nicely. Do we truly know what people are going through? If they were having an easy time, if they didn't need it, would they really be on the streets? Oh, Daisy, but they're gonna use that money for drugs, for alcohol. Well, that's on them, as Mother Teresa said. What we do is between us and God. What they do is between them and God. But what if that $1 or $5 or whatever we have, maybe a meal that we have that we can give them, is gonna help them get through that day? We don't know. But do we give, and most of the time we give, but then we have that thought inside of us. I don't think they really need it. Or we give and think, oh, they're gonna use that. I know what they're gonna do. They're gonna go and buy alcohol and drugs. So, and this happens in our families too. People come and they say they need help, and then we second guess them. Or they tell us a story, and we think, I don't think that's really true. They might be exaggerating. Did that really happen? So this tiny creature of suspicion, it seems so small, right? It's one thought. But that one thought, as Emmanuel in the book Thought and Life tell us, every thought has an electromagnetic charge. We're putting the thought out, we are attracting what we emit. So then we're suspicious of others, and people are suspicious of us. So then people have a hard time trusting us too. And then we don't understand why relationships fail, why we don't, we have a business and the business doesn't grow, or why don't we grow in our careers? Because of this tiny invisible ones, and suspicious is one of them. So in a scale from 0 to 10, how suspicious are we? Not suspicious at all, or super suspicious? And then Humberto de Campos comes and says, oh, gossip. Gossip is so interesting. It's these conversations and reports about people's private lives that might be unkind, disapproving, or not true. But we might say, no, I don't gossip. But let us see. Do we spend hours discussing and judging people's lives and decisions? Oh my gosh, where do we hide? But we think we're just talking, right? Did you see what happened with that family member? We think we're talking, and we're like, oh, and then we say, oh, but let us pray for that person. But we spend hours talking about that, and then at the end we think we can solve everything. Say, oh, but let's pray for them. So, of course, if someone has a problem, they come to us, right? We talk to them. But is that morbid, as we talked on Friday for those of you, this morbid disposition of keep talking about people's lives? And then as we shared also on Friday, maybe a conversation of 40 minutes will be 5 minutes because we remove everything else that we're talking about. Oh yeah, we go home, we come to the Spirit Center, we go home, and then we say, oh, did you see that person? Did you see what happened? Did you see what they did? So then we leave here with the vibration so high, but as the moment that we cross that door, our vibrations plunge. Because the spirits that wants to destroy organizations and relationships, they love gossiping. And they come and they whisper in our ears. Did you see that person? Are we always involved in the he said, she said situations? In Portuguese, we call this leve trás, right? Or as Vanessa said, the chi ta ta ta. Right? The he said, she said. And then we ask ourselves, well, why? I'm always. And then we do this. We think it's unconscious, but we need to, that's why we need to look inside ourselves, because we're always there. Oh, she said that. He said that. And this, he said, she said, oh my goodness, talking about families, right? Oh my gosh. It's like the telephone chain. One aunt calls the other uncle, that calls the other aunt, that calls us, that calls, right? And then it's like, it's when you do the telephone with the children, then you start with one word, and then at the end, it's something completely different, right? So that's what happens, and that's why gossip is so corrosive in our relationships. Are we spreading misinformation? Elections are coming up. We know misinformation can destroy countries, can destroy organizations, can destroy relationships. So someone comes, call you and say, did you see that X, Y, and Z happened? Like, really? And then we stop and we think, okay, before, let's stop with me, right? Go there. See. And we're so easily nowadays in our social media, we just need to click the button share, and that's how misinformation gets shared so much. Because people are sharing and sharing, and they don't even know if it's true. And Humberto de Campos said that through gossip, it leads into intrigue, so then there are really plots. And that's how the spirits who accompany us, that don't want us to evolve, don't want us to be helped, don't want organizations like the spiritist centers around the world to help people. They utilize this to create plots. So at the end of the day, it's we that destroy our relationships. It's we that destroy places of so much light because of this, what seems so small, but are very corrosive. So from 0 to 10, do we not gossip at all, or we are super gossipers? So friends, at the end of the day, we need to pay attention because we are dwelling with people. We might not dwell physically anymore. If we could, maybe we would, because we sometimes get so outrageous, say, if I could, I would punch that person in the face. And some people, they do. How many families fall apart because of physical violence? But we're also involved in this mental dwelling. It's when we go home and we have truly conversations with people in our minds. And we say, if they say this, I'm going to say that. But if they say this, I will say that. And then we are in these mental battles. So today, what is the remedy for us? The question is, are we truly loving? Because when we love, all this that are on this list goes away. Because we truly see ourselves as daughters and sisters. So how can we immunize ourselves? Humberto de Campos says, the solution is to practice the gospel of Christ. And Jesus comes to say, do to others what you like to receive. So the medicine for us is to use the gospel of Christ, asking ourselves, let us not, look at this, let us not do to others that which you will not wish done to you. So, would you like someone to come and be happy for your happiness or for the things that you have? Or would you like them to go home thinking how they can have what you have? Then this changes what we wanted to receive when we are at work, when we are with our families, when we are at the Spirit Center. And doesn't stop there. Let us do all the good with all the power that we have. All the good. There's no excuse. So we get out of our selfishness. We're still so deep inside of us. And we start seeing the needs of others. This is how we get out of these personal sensitivities. We take ourselves out of the equation. We're not the center anymore. Do we see how that passed? Because then we say, instead of feeling hurt, we say, how can I help that person? What they're going through? I read the room and the situations through different lenses, not through my selfish lens of the child that wants to be seen, heard, and taken care of, but as the adult. I am here to help everywhere, in our homes, when we are outside on the streets, in the Spirit centers, at work. Our vibrations change. So we get in and out of places and we get out of these personal sensitivities. And we're paying attention in the needs of others. Then we can never go wrong. So let us reflect on this. We know it's a lot of food for thought. We know it's deep. But we're here learning, and that's why we need to instruct ourselves so we can feel stronger. So we'll now dim the lights as we prepare ourselves for the next point, okay?
Let us all visualize now the spirit doctors, nurses, and therapists in front of us, providing us with the loving care that comes from their heart, providing us with the nourishment for the mind and the bodies. Let us all help one another by visualizing flowers of healing being distributed to everyone. The loving spirit doctors who are watching us. They know exactly what we're feeling, what we're thinking, and they are hoping that we raise our thoughts to noble thoughts. As we receive these flowers, bringing them close to our hearts, renewing our minds and lives. Let us kindly feel these waterfalls of healing light into ourselves, bringing peace and harmony to us. As we visualize Jesus, our best friend, embracing us with new strength. practice of patience, kindness. Let us visualize Jesus, our best friend, in front of us, delivering the energy medicine that we need for the mind and the bodies to strengthen us. He smiles to us, radiating pure love. Is there anybody else? Let us now all together visualize our Mother Mary, the beloved spirit that cares for all of us on earth. Her beautiful face, her loving heart, sweetening our lives with her presence, placing on us a robe of protection, making us feel deeply loved and cared for. Let us express our gratitude as we feel this moment. So now let us express our gratitude for the joy of this day, feeling the presence of the guardian angels of all of us, the loving care of the spirit doctors. Thank you, God, for the gift of this day, for this message that you provided to us, empowering us to greater love. With you today, we shall observe the giving what we would like to receive. May everyone who is traveling feel safe. May those who are in the streets in need of a helping hand find them sooner than later. And may we return safely to our homes or go to our next destination in peace and much gratitude to you. Thank you, God, and so